just answering some questions. And this was regarding the Shem angels. After a surgery and coma or something like that, do you need a new birth chart after recovery? And I heard it before, and I looked into it in the 90s, I think. Since I was having a lot of surgeries during that time, and but I ruled it out since I had 7 surgeries within a year, so that gets too many birthdays in a year, and so that didn't fit me at least. And since I work with them all, maybe that gives you a stronger connection to them after a recovery and you get a new birth chart. But I think that somebody who is really into astrology and so on, and if you really believe that, that is up to you to decide and ask somebody who is who does that kind of thing. I'm of the old belief that an angel blows the trumpet and celebrates when you are born, and you have this special name that you forget that is given to you by God, and then everything is set that way. So I don't think that it changes, but that is my own thoughts. And that's why I don't use a magical name either, even though it's popular, since why should I? The name we have here on this planet isn't a real one, and I don't know my real name, and that is something that is given to you after you pass on, the real name of your soul. So anything people call us, that's just what people call us, and trying to hide under different names, like especially in the stories of fairies and elementals, that they lie about their name and you should lie about your name. And but I think that falls under the same noom. They don't know their real name, neither do we, so they use a name, and you can connect to them by a nickname and so on. And but I don't think that gives you any particular safety to create a magical name for yourself. I'm just me. I can't be bothered with making up names after numerology every time for different workings. But it's fun to learn how to do that, but then it gets boring. And then there was the questions that I'm not qualified to answer, but I read about them. So I studied a little bit into them, like in the Zohar, and the importance of learning Aramaic, since it's not understood by the angels, but that is more about that they don't always view the Shem angels as something they want to work with. So that is up to you what you believe. And they use Metatron to stop the Shem angels. So these are all things you should listen to yourself. What do you feel? And I think that is at least a very popular. I had a Spanish friend who lives in Spain, and they came across this method with the Zohar and Metatron quite frequently. So that was a spiritual practice of theirs. And dragons in Kabbalah, it relates to this Zohar thing in Spain, or where I learned it from. And then there was that Bina was a dragon that guards God's throne, and Telia is the huge dragon that surrounds the earth, where the zodiacal signs, they are on threads that hang in the sky, and the Shem angels reside therein. So that is what I remember from that. I don't have any book on the topic, since that's not my path. And I use Hebrew, Malachim, Celestial and Enochian as my angelical writings. I don't use anything else. And the barn from the Swarm Book of Honorius. And it was huge in the 80s and I think in the 90s as well. It was for witchcraft, talismans, amulets and Book of Shadows. And then we have the passing of the river and alphabet of daggers and so on that were Crowleys and all these others. So it is completely up to you and your practice what you... But they don't give you any extra power unless that it looks nice or that you work within that tradition. That's when you can get the power from a certain... like you can use Arabic writing as is very popular in amulets and any kind of thing. It's just that what you practice, that's what gives you the power. And there was different schools of Kabbalah and that is called Tanya. And in the old days there were the Arabic, Christian, Jewish and mixed Kabbalah that were a little bit of everything. And then we have the New Age separately, since I don't know anything about New Age. And so I looked into these quite old books from the different and compared. And usually in the grimoires you worked back then in the old ones with 7 planets and 10 Sephiroth. So when I look into a grimoire I try to find out like everything about John Dee. Why do I resonate with him? And then I try to feel myself out, what did he exactly practice, and that's something I do as a tryout to understand what he wanted to say. It's the same when I study some philosophy. I try to live like the philosopher during that time, let's say very strictly, and not watching TV or anything, so I set my mind into that and so on. So it is just that some tips. And then I had this question, is Golden Dawn the same as the alleged neo-Nazi group in Ukraine? I don't think they are related, but there's usually maybe some connection. I don't want to go into that discussion, since we all know that things go out of hand and it's just messy. But I don't think that the real organization Golden Dawn, but they didn't own the copyright of the name, so they used the name. I think it's more like that. And then of course there was the question of the Wagner Group. It was considered real in Europe, at least. We have a lot of documentaries on the real television channels, not anything like that, and they were looking into the Putin and Syria, and everything has disappeared, both from the news and from the internet in this country, so I can't... It's been hushed down and disappeared from. But I can verify it that for many years, since 2016, I've been watching documentaries and news broadcasts connected to that on the real television and not homemade videos. So that was all for now, and I hope this helps you out. And if you feel that you had COVID and we put anesthesia to help you with breathing, and you feel like you have a new birthday, a new life, then take a free birth chart and look into it and see what Shem angels they are and reach out to them. And have a magical day. Bye for now.